Here's a full explanation as to how and why Danylo's method works. Most pupils, when confronted with this quadratic equation, we would encourage them to try to factorise it. And so they would split this into two brackets, and we'd have the factorisation would be 2x minus 1 and 3x minus 1. Now most pupils find that factorising quite hard, to get the two numbers to multiply to the plus 1, to get the minus 3x and the minus 2x to combine to give the minus 5x. Then by the null factor theorem, either 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 or 3x minus 1 is equal to 0, giving 2x equal to 1 or 3x equal to 1 and x is equal to a half and x is equal to a third. That, to my mind, is the most efficient way to solve that equation. And here's exactly the same equation with Danylo's method. So what Danylo did was he lifted the 6 out. And he said, by taking the 6 out, I'm going to make it a 1x squared at the front. He left the 5x alone and multiplied the 6 onto the 1 to get plus 6 here. Now that is bad maths. The top line does not lead to the bottom line, and as one of the girls in the class said, you can't do that. But if we carry on with it and factorise this is a much easier factorisation than the previous one because we only have 1x squared. And so we're looking for two numbers that multiply to plus 6 and add to minus 5, and then minus 3 and minus 2. So either x minus 3 is equal to 0 or x minus 2 is equal to 0, which gives the answers of 2 and 3. At this point, Danylo, who lifted the 6 out, brings the 6 back in and pops it underneath these two here to create the answers of x is equal to a half and x is equal to a third, which are the two correct answers. My question was, would this always work? And I was surprised, I'd never seen it before, and I wondered if it was because the 6 and the 5 only differed by 1 and the constant term was 1. But I set about trying to prove it with Danylo with the quadratic equation formula. This is the quadratic equation formula that all GCSE pupils are familiar with and is given to them on their formula sheet. What Danylo did was this. He took the a out of the equation to create 1x squared, and so he's moved the a away. He left the x term with its coefficient of b, and he multiplied the a onto the constant term of c. Now, if you apply the quadratic equation formula to this version, you get x is equal to minus b, which is the same as it was because this hasn't changed, plus or minus the square root of b squared, again the same because it hasn't changed from the equation, minus 4 times 1 times the constant term, which is now ac, which gives minus 4ac. The discriminant of the two formulas are the same. And on the bottom, you get 2 times the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. And so what we have here is exactly the same formula that's just different by the a on the bottom. So the a was the 6 that Danylo lifted out, and then he puts the 6 back into the answer, which means that it will always work. It's brilliant.